All right, welcome back, everybody, to rating every Best Picture winner for the Academy Awards, Part 3, the 1950s. Up first from 1950 is All About Eve. This is directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, and it stars Bette Davis, Anne Baxter, Celeste Holm, George Sanders, and a very young, just starting out Marilyn Monroe. Bette Davis stars as an aging, and by aging they mean like 40s Broadway star, who's at the top of her game, and she runs into like a mega fan played by Anne Baxter. Anne Baxter gives her like a kind of sob story about her background and how much trouble she had growing up and what kind of life that she ran away from. And Bette Davis, who plays a character called Margot Channing, which is just a great character name, she kind of takes her under her wing and hires her as like a personal assistant. But as time goes on, Margot starts to realize that Anne Baxter, the titular Eve of this movie, of All About Eve, is slowly but surely starting to kind of copy her, maybe start wearing the same stuff that she wears. And it's clear that she is trying to maybe even usurp her a little bit. She's clearly trying to use Margot to bolster her own fame and her own status, and it works. And at first, everyone is just kind of like, oh, you're just jealous because she's young and new. But Margot stands her ground. This is a great drama, amazing writing. If you've ever heard the line, fasten your seatbelts, it's going to be a bumpy night, it's from this movie. This is an amazing movie. Anne Baxter as Eve Harrington, one of the great on-screen villains of all time. This is a 5-star movie. The 1951 Academy Award winner for Best Picture is Vincente Minnelli's An American in Paris. This is a very classic, old-style Hollywood musical starring Gene Kelly and Leslie Caron. The plot is pretty bare bones. It's Gene Kelly as an American living in Paris, trying to make it as a painter. A very rich and lonely kind of high society woman takes an interest in him, falls in love with him, takes him under her wing to kind of support his artistic dreams. But Gene Kelly starts falling in love with Leslie Caron instead, and of course you get this little love triangle. The story itself is fine, but what you're really here for are the musical numbers. There's probably more musical numbers in here that you probably already know. The musical numbers look beautifully shot. The music is great. The choreography is amazing because it's Gene Kelly. If I'm remembering correctly, there's like a 15-minute like ballet sequence towards the end, which you might need to have a little patience for. Other than that, though, this is a fantastic movie. I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. Well, we're here. Probably the worst Academy Award winning Best Picture winner of all time. The Greatest Show on Earth. Now, if you're getting excited because you like the movie The Greatest Showman, it has nothing to do with that. The only thing they have in common is it's about the circus, and that's it. This is not a musical. It is a 3-hour-long slog. This is directed by Cecil B. DeMille, a fantastic director that made a huge misstep with this one. This stars Betty Hutton, Dorothy Lamour, Jimmy Stewart, Charlton Heston, and I think in one of his earliest roles. Look, the plot doesn't matter. It's about the circus. It's long. It's boring. It's terrible. And there's not really a lot of redeeming qualities here. Honestly, its biggest legacy is that Steven Spielberg referenced it in his movie The Fabelmans. You know, in an earlier video, I said that How Green Was My Valley gets a lot of undeserved hate because it won the Oscar for Best Picture over Citizen Kane. But this is the movie you should really hate, because this was nominated alongside The Quiet Man by John Ford and High Noon, starring Gary Cooper. Both superior films to this. And Singin' in the Rain, one of the greatest movies of all time, probably in my top 10 films of all time, wasn't even nominated. It's a travesty it was ever nominated, and it's a travesty it won. This is a 1-star movie. 1953's winner is From Here to Eternity. This was directed by Fred Zinnemann. It stars Burt Lancaster, Montgomery Clift, Donna Reed in a Oscar-winning performance in Best Supporting Actress, I believe, Deborah Kerr, Frank Sinatra, also winning for Best Supporting Actor, and Ernest Borgnine. If you've ever seen the movie The Godfather, which if you haven't, why haven't you? There's a subplot where like a singer named Johnny Fontaine is trying to get a movie role, but the producers won't let him have it because, he's got a vendetta against Johnny Fontaine. He wants to get cast in a war film. A lot of speculation is that they're talking about Frank Sinatra in this film, which he does a pretty good job. The film takes place on an army island base in Hawaii, and it's really pretty much a melodrama, kind of a soap opera between the lives of all these men and women. The majority of the film takes place right before Pearl Harbor, and then Pearl Harbor hits, sending everything into chaos. If you've ever seen that famous image of two people kissing on the beach while waves crash over them, like here on the cover, it's from this movie. This is an excellent film, 4.5 stars. In 1954, the Best Picture winner was On the Waterfront, directed by Elia Kazan, starring Marlon Brando, Carl Malden, Lee J. Cobb, Rod Steiger, and in a Oscar-winning performance, Eva Marie Saint. You might not think you know this movie, but you know the line, "I could have been a contender." That's from On the Waterfront. I'm a little conflicted on this film because Elia Kazan was one of the people accused of being a communist during the McCarthy era in the 1950s. And Elia Kazan is one of the people that named the names. So Marlon Brando plays an ex-boxer turned into a longshoreman, a dock worker, who's wrestling with his conscience about whether or not to expose some of the corruption and crime within his union. Lee J. Cobb plays the union leader, and Eva Marie Saint plays the sister of a guy that was killed off by the union. Marlon Brando, of course, falls in love with her, and that's where the conflict comes in. The reason I'm conflicted is because Marlon Brando is the protagonist. He's the hero of the story, and the moral victory is to expose all the crime and corruption. But when you look beneath the surface and know that Elia Kazan basically snitched on his friends in Hollywood, it gives me a little bit of a feeling. That being said, the movie is absolutely a masterpiece. Excellent acting, excellent writing, excellent direction. This is 5 stars. Elia Kazan is still a snitch, though. The 1955 winner is Marty. This is directed by Delbert Mann, written by Patty Chayefsky, starring Ernest Borgnine and Betsy Blair. This is a romantic drama, kind of like a slice of life film about Ernest Borgnine, who plays kind of like a socially awkward, and as he calls himself, an ugly fat man. He doesn't have a lot of prospects. His mother's always kind of badgering him. But then he meets a school teacher who's, kind of plain, but they hit it off, and he starts falling in love with her. But then it seems like everybody in their lives just don't want Marty to be happy. It's almost like they want him to be a loser forever. This isn't the most cinematic film, but it is very well acted and very well done. I give this one 4 stars. The 1956 winner is Around the World in 80 Days. You may have read this book in middle school, and it's pretty much that. This film is kind of an excuse to throw in a bunch of cameos from all the big stars of the time. The stars of the show are David Niven, Shirley MacLaine, and Mexican star Cantinflas. But if you like classic movies, there are a ton of cameos in this thing. It's a fun little adventure movie. It's very old-fashioned. It's shot well. It has a really great music score, but you have to have some patience with it because it is over 3 hours. It's fine, it's amusing, but it's not an all-time classic in my opinion. I give it 3 stars. Now, what is an all-time classic is the 1957 winner of The Bridge on the River Kwai. This is a David Lean joint starring Alec Guinness, William Holden, Jack Hawkins, and Sessue Hayakawa. This film is about British troops who are prisoners in a Japanese prison camp during World War II. The Japanese are forcing the British prisoners to build a bridge over a river so that a supply train can come through. And obviously, it would help the Japanese war effort. The conflict comes in when the commander of the British forces, played by Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, for those who don't know, makes his troops actually do a really good job on the bridge. Because he believes regardless of who they're working for, they should take pride in their work and show the Japanese how to build a proper bridge. Meanwhile, William Holden plays an American sent in to basically blow up the bridge. If you're a Gen X or a millennial, this is kind of the kind of movie your dad liked, but this is an all-time fantastic, great movie. Much like Around the World in 80 Days, this is also almost 3 hours, but you don't notice it because it goes by quick. Excellent acting, especially by Guinness. This is absolutely 5 stars. 1958's winner is GIGI. This is directed by Vincente Minnelli, starring Leslie Caron, Louis Jordan, and Maurice Chevalier. Yeah, this is a tad problematic in today's culture. So Leslie Caron plays Gigi, a teenage girl who is being, there's no other way to put it, groomed to be a courtesan in French high society. Louis Jordan is a very rich playboy who's taking a liking to her, although he knew her when she was a child and now he's seeing her grow up to be a woman. You can see where the problematic elements are coming in. In fact, the movie opens with Maurice Chevalier singing the song Thank Heaven for Little Girls. In 2026 eyes, this is a little creepy. That said, beautiful cinematography, beautiful costumes, beautiful set design. So for that, it gets 2.5 stars, but you can probably skip it. And finally, 1959's Best Picture winner is Ben-HUR. Probably the Oscar movie, the movie that probably plays in every Oscars montage you've ever seen. And with good reason, because this is one of the best kind of Hollywood epics there ever was. If you like films like Gladiator or Braveheart, you'll probably like Ben-Hur. Charlton Heston plays Judah Ben-Hur, a Jew living in ancient Judea, and he opposes the occupying Roman Empire. His mother and sister are taken away as prisoners, he gets sold into slavery, and then he has to fight his way out of slavery, come back, and get his revenge against his former friend Masala. This is epic in scale, grand in vision. It's especially impressive when you realize this is 1959 and everything was done practically with no CGI. The chariot race, which is probably the most famous scene in the film and pretty much in all of movie history, is an amazing feat of stunt work and direction. This is a 5-star movie. Okay, that'll do it for the 1950s. On our next video, we're going to talk about the 1960s. Drop a comment below if you've seen any of these 1950 Best Picture winners and which one your favorite is. Or maybe which movie you think should have won. Do all the engagement stuff below, and always remember, buy physical media.